No, oh, you can start with me and then swing. Yeah, there you go. Hi, this is Alan Shay, and we're here with Mr. Lewis Williams, Faye Love Williams' father, and we're just gonna do some sharing of stories and maybe even a little history. So we want you to join us as we enjoy today with three men and having a men's discussion. So
Men's discussion.
it may encompass a lot of things, but we want you to join us. So stay with us. You go, Alfred. So, okay. Okay.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name's Lewis Williams, and I'm Felicia Williams' father, Felicia Lene Williams. You know her pretty much as Faye Love and Felicia Lene and all other types of titles that she's had. And I would like to just tell you about my experience. I am number four. My mother had five children. That means four boys and one girl. And my father would always boast about his boys. He wanted to talk to everybody about his boys. His boys was the cream of the crop, and my boys this and my boys that. And my mother loved her boys, and doesn't mean she didn't love her daughter, because they got into it a lot too. But they were always proud of their boys, and as I was growing up, my father took me to a lot of his men friends at his job. He worked for the city of Detroit, and he was a garbage truck driver. And as we went into the offices, the city of Detroit offices, um, everyone would approach me and say, my father's name was AC, just initials only, AC Williams. And they would approach me and say, "Are you AC son? You AC son?" I said, "Yeah, I'm AC son." "Boy, your dad was this, your dad was that," all complimentary, all good. And I always had a real good feeling about what other people were saying about my dad, and it made me proud to be his son. So, as I'm growing up, I've had great fathers that were involved in my life. I'd like to talk about the minister, one of my good friends, a member of our family, a minister named Lonnie C. Cash, Reverend Cash of Detroit, Michigan, uh, who was the pastor of the first church that I went to. It's called Highway Baptist Church in Michigan. And he was to me a tremendous father, tremendous mentor. So I picked up a lot of examples about fatherhood from him, because he took his girls. He had all girls. And everywhere he went, he took his girls with him. So my burden is always to talk about how beautiful it is when fathers are involved in their children's lives. Now, back to the Williams boys for just a minute. My father proudly boasted about his boys. And then my brother had a couple of boys. And then my other brother had a couple of boys who were his sons and a girl. So we've had mostly boys in our family. And so as her mother became pregnant, I did not want to know the sex of the child. I did not want anything to know about the child, whether it's going to be a boy or a girl. But I was hoping that it would be a girl. So I said I could try to break the Williams string of just making boys, 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 boys. And so when Felicia was born, that was my girl, and I said, "Well, I'm going to make sure that this girl knows exactly what it means to have a father involved in her life. So I'm going to be with her every step of the way." And I was with her every step of the way. I tried to develop activities where it would be just me and her. It's been me and my girl. Yes, she took her example from her mother. Yes, she spent a lot of time with her mother. But I wanted to develop times when it was just me and her, and we would go to the lake, or we would go on trips. We would go traveling. And then when she wanted to get involved in acting and theater, I wanted to make sure that she went to the best places where she could hone her craft, um, be among actors and actresses involved in her field. And I wanted to make sure I was there. And I also wanted to make sure she knew I supported this, because I wasn't particularly supportive of everything. But I learned by having a relationship with her about supporting your children, and definitely supporting her. But I also found out that the girls needed their fathers as much as the boys did, and maybe even more. But you know how we're proud men. We know we got to have our sons, and we want our sons to arrive in our image, and be like us, and maybe fulfill some of the things that we didn't fulfill. But the girls were just as important. And so, between my mother and between Felicia's mother and between all the women in my life, my grandmother, my aunts, and then Felicia's mother, and then Felicia, I started to see the benefit of having the father involved in the girl's life as long as possible, as much as possible, and not to let anything come between the father and the daughter, and just have me time with the father, and we just talk about things. Yes, we talked about the birds and the bees, but we talked about the literal birds and the bees. I didn't know all the girly things, about the dresses and makeup and all of those things, but uh, she was very heavily involved in sports. She was very athletic growing up. She used to run with the boys, and she could play basketball, and she was very good. She was a very good basketball player. And now, as far as her education, I was supportive of her acting and theater education in Saginaw. I used to help her with her homework when she had hard homework problems that she had. I used to help her. It was sometimes with the new math and the new English and a lot of these new things. Some of the parents are not able to help the daughter, so I was able to understand and help her with science projects and support. I was very supportive of her. I'm still supportive of her. So we went on trips together. We traveled. We loved Toronto. We loved going to the lake. We loved going to the water. And she'd hear all these stories I tell her about my father and fishing. So she wanted to know how to fish. But I wasn't able to teach her everything about fishing. But she wanted to know how to fish. She wanted to know about football. She wanted to know about basketball. She wanted to know about sports. And at that time, I was a little skeptical about girls being involved in sports, and I was always concerned about her suffering injuries, and I didn't want her life to be influenced by some major injury that she had when she was young. So she took care of herself real well. Um, and my personality has changed over the years. I was pretty much really, really quiet and really, really shy and really reserved. But after being involved with my girl, I started becoming more engaging, having more of a sense of humor, smiling more, getting involved with being a people person instead of just being an introvert. I became more of an extrovert, and then I was talking about her about the balance. So I wanted to make sure I had the balance of being an introvert sometimes, an extrovert sometimes. So as she's growing and she's becoming more mature, she's getting more independent, and she's saying, "Well, Dad, I can handle this, and Dad, I can handle that." But I wanted to make sure I wasn't able to appear in all of her performances as she's down here in Pasadena. But I was always calling her, asking her, how did the show go? Or she's calling me, "Well, Dad, I'm doing this. I'm doing the Artist Eclectic Playground, and that's a success." And then whenever I'd come out here, she'd pretty much clear the way for me by telling everybody, "My dad's coming, my dad's coming." And of course, she's telling her boyfriends and girlfriends, "Hey, my dad's coming." To allow that time so that we could spend time together as an adult. And one of the nicest things that my father mentioned to me was he was happy that he lived long enough to see us become adults. So my father was pretty intelligent. He's very, very smart. Um, and he would play pinochle and play bid whist and play tonk, and he was good with checkers. He was good with. He wasn't as good with chess, but he was a master at checkers. And many of the days he'd be sitting at home by himself playing checkers with himself, or he'd be playing cards with himself, and he always knew how to entertain himself. So it was just his mind. His mind was just great as far as knowing statistics and knowing formulas and stressing education. Made sure that he wanted his boys to attend the best schools and get the best education, because he's born in 1922. And for the first 10 years of his life, he lost his father when he was very young. So he was pretty much the breadwinner for his two sisters and their family and that family. So he wasn't allowed to engage in a lot of the activities that young people do, because at the time, 10 years after 1922 is the Depression. So he used to tease me all the time about bread used to be 5 cents and potatoes used to be a nickel, and onions, a pound of onions would be for 5 cents. And he said, son, that was a time when there was no money, absolutely no money. He said, you see these kids tossing change and stuff around on the floor and not having an appreciation for money, but if they had experienced what I experienced, he said, a nickel was worth $100, a quarter, you were rich, because there were no jobs, no money. So I had to work the fields so that we could eat. I had to work to feed my mother, feed my two sisters. And that really gave me an appreciation about how you can make it with a small amount. You could really make it. He talked about having a can of flour in the house and a can of sugar in the house and a can of meal in the house. And he would always stretch those meals to make things grow, or make a nice long meal. And he was a cook. He enjoyed cooking. He always awakened us with all kinds of meals prepared, and that's one of the reasons why my mother married him, was because he was a good cook. And then he always fancied himself as being a ladies' man, and the women loved him. And he was a very good example for me, very good experiences. And so I just took a lot of the things that I saw with him, and I just attempted to improve on those things with my girl and with our family. But I'm specifically interested in fathers and their sons, fathers and their daughters, and I wanted to have Felicia to be an example of what it's like when a father is involved in their children's lives, and especially for the girls, because I found that the girls need their fathers as much as the boys do. And what I found later is that the father is the example for what the girls and the women are going to choose from as they grow up. And if the father has set a decent and a reasonable example, then the girls can always use this as a standard for their choices as they're growing up. So she always used to tell me, well, Dad, it's a problem with the men out here, and the men are this and the men are that. And I said, well, you can't find, you're probably not going to be able to find a man who is just like your father, even though I know women marry men that are just like their fathers. So I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be difficult, but maybe you don't have to try to make find a man that's going to be exactly like me. I became the way I am because it was a different time, different areas, different education. But you just have to not just do the best that you can, but you'll have to make sure you have standards. Make sure you have those standards so somebody can't come in and just do anything they want to do or trash your life. Make sure you don't have children everywhere, all over the place. You just have to be specific about your choices, but not necessarily make your choices so hard and so difficult, and your standards so high and so difficult that not even Jesus can meet those standards. So you have to have the balance. So you may go through various relationships, but you have to take time and process what you were learning in each relationship. So to make sure you can get better choices. Maybe you didn't choose the right one this time, but you can improve on it the next time. But she would always complain, Dad, there's not a lot of men out here like you. And so I would say, well, I'm talking to men. I'm talking to men. I'm not saying that they have to be like me, but I like to tell them the value of being in their children's life, of parenting. And if they have to study, I said, look at this internet. This internet provides all kinds of education for the men. But even if they're estranged from their women, they still have a responsibility for their children. And I also told her that we should always leave the door open for our children. So in case they run into a few problems here, they want to come back home, they can. and they can reinvigorate themselves, get themselves back on track, and they can always leave. But the door should always be open for your children, no matter how they grow, no matter how old they are, because I believe that's why we're here. For the limited time that we're here is to raise them up the best way possible and just be there for them so they can always be reminded of the strong foundation of where they came from, and help them as necessary, and give them the space to do their own thing, be independent, but at least they can call. And my girl used to call me all the time and say, hey, Dad, I'm doing this. Hey, Dad, I'm doing that. She's sending me these texts. She's sending me these videos, She's sending me these relationships she's having with people. And so that's making me happy. That's making me proud. And now to see all of the men and all of the people that she has touched, it lets me know I think I did a pretty good job when I was involved in her life, and I was still involved in her life. And I was looking forward to the day when she would get married. She'd have kids of her own, but she'd say, well, Dad, yeah, I'll get married one day. Dad, I'm going to be involved one day, but I'm not going to let you go. I said, well, I know that, but you remember the man's got to come first. Your support and your love and your devotion has to be towards him. And I can't wait to when you become Mrs. I used to say, when you become Mrs. Jones, or you become Mrs. Smith, or you become Mrs. This person or that person. I'm looking forward to calling your husband and asking your husband if I can talk to you. Oh, no, Dad, it's not going to be like that. It's not going to. I said, well, I'm going to be respectful. And I'm going to call and ask your husband if I can have a few minutes with you, if I can talk to you. And she would go, my daughter go crazy. Oh, no, Dad, it's not, you can always going to be talking to me. He's not going to come between us. And I said, well, yeah, but that's your husband, and your first responsibility is to your husband. And then she'd stop me there, but Dad, are you not going anywhere? I said, yeah, I know I'm going to be here for the babysitting and being a babysitter and coming out to spend time with your children. Because I know, when you have children, you're going to want your dad around. And I want to see my grandkids and see what kind of education they're getting. And I want to take them places and stuff and do things for them. So I'm definitely going to miss all of those things. But I talk to men all the time. When I find out they have children, I'm asking them, what are you doing for your children? What are you doing with your children? Are you, yes, you may be estranged from the woman. You may have problems, but get on the regular routine, send the women money, start keeping records of it. Don't let the courts tell you that you have to send money to take care of your own children. And then start getting disciplined so you're not spreading your seed all over the place. Make sure that you get a woman. Make good choices with the women so you can be there to raise your children like I've raised mine. And then I would start telling them about Felicia, and Felicia's doing this, and Felicia's doing that. And Felicia, well, yeah, you got a good relationship with your father and with your daughter. And I said, well, yeah. I said, because I was there when she was born. When she was born, her mother told me the day was going to be the day that she was going to give birth. And so when she was born, it was one of the happiest times of my life because I was standing where it was the doctor and then me and then the nurse. And I was right there to watch my child being born. And so I know what happens. I saw the whole thing myself, and it was a great experience. Now I know people, now with this experience, I tell people all the time, I say, well, if it was this easy and everything flows so well, I say, well, I'd like to see what the problem is why women don't want to have more children. But then when I say that around women, they say, well, yeah, you should be around when I had this difficult pregnancy and I had this difficult thing, So I was able to see her born. I actually witnessed the birth. I always told her about it. Every time March 30th came along, I always told her that I'm patting myself on the back because it's actually my day. And she said, what you mean it's your day? I was born on this day. I said, well, yeah, but it's a special day for me, so I'm going to go out and celebrate. I'm going to have myself a good time. I want you to have a good time. But it's actually two Father's Day on my calendar. One is the Father's Day that's pretty much traditional, and the other Father's Day is on your birthday. So every time I call her, I say, well, Felicia, I'm patting myself on the back now. I just want to let you know that this is my day. And I hope you have a good day too, but I just want you to know this is my day because I believed I experienced something spiritual. I believed I've experienced something that I can't put into words on the day that she was born. And I believe it's made me stronger as a man, stronger as a father, stronger as a husband as the days went on. And I'm experiencing that same thing as I'm talking and making this presentation, is that I believe there's a special empowerment that's given to you when you're birthing a child, when you're the father of a child, that will carry you for the rest of your life. And Lord knows what it would have been like if I had 4 children, 5 children, 10 children, and I received an empowerment from each one of those children. I'd be important. I mean, I'd be special. So I always try to make Felicia understand that you are the star. Don't worry about me. I'm here to support you, but you are the star. You are the one that's most important. Yes, this is your life, and I wanted you to have your life. Not just the life that I wanted for you, because I always tell her I thought she'd be maybe a doctor or a lawyer, and have a nice quiet life, have a nice quiet family. But I also made her aware of how proud I was of her and that she has far exceeded the type of woman that I thought she was going to be like. She's far exceeded it. So she's done some things, tremendous things, and that's why I say I want to know what she's done. I want to see what she's done, be a part of what she's done to the best of my ability, because she was much further ahead. And all she was telling me, but she's telling me so many things, I can barely keep up with her talking to me on the phone. And then when I'm having some good news, she said, well, wait a minute, Dad, I got a Zoom call I got to do. I got to go on this Zoom and that Zoom, and I can't talk to you now. And so I didn't get personal about it. I wasn't the type that, oh, well, now I'm just a dad in passing, you know. But she would always call me and tell me, well, Dad, your baby girl, she's calling me a baby girl, right? And I always figured, well, she's calling me her baby girl because she probably wants some money from me or needs something from me or something. So that's just her way of buttering me up to make me feel good, right? And every time I come out to visit her, my pocket notoriously got lighter by the time I got back, and I didn't even know how or when it happened. So she said, your baby girl's doing this, your baby girl's doing that. Aren't you proud to have a baby girl? Aren't you happy to have a baby girl? I said, well, how are you telling me all this? And I already know it. She said, so we get involved in a little discussion. Just like to say she did not agree with everything I said. And I didn't agree with everything she said. But she said, but Dad, I love you. And I'm going to take to heart what you're saying, because you're speaking from the voice of experience. You're speaking from the voice of knowledge. And then I say, well, yeah, you can just add what I say. You can add to whatever else you're just picking up. Because I pretty much have the background story. I got a background history. See, I knew you from the beginning. So when I say something, it's to try to direct you or take away from what you've learned, but to add to what you have experiencing. So you got Dad's perspective, you got all these other perspectives, and then you can decide whether this perspective that your dad's talking about that you don't agree with, and we fighting and we having to drag out whether you're gonna keep that or not, or whether maybe your dad is saying something that you can consider maybe later on down the line. So I believe that's what fathers are supposed to be. They can be friends with their children. They don't have to be. They don't have to rule with an iron fist, that type of thing. But you can have the balance. You can give them the standards, but then when you start to see their talent develop, you can just be there to support them in whatever direction they want to go in. So that's what I tried to be, is not just a father, and you do what I tell you to do and blah blah this, but to, as they become adults, make suggestions here and there, uh, and know how to be quiet as necessary and be silent, and then make your suggestions, and then let them go. Because if you've raised them properly, yes, you were heavily involved in their lives as they're growing up, but you want to see the fruit of everything that you've been talking to them about and telling them about, and you see them grow up. And I would like to tell you that the children do not depart from everything that you've been teaching them, every way you've been raising them, but they should have the freedom to exercise how they want to be, how they want to live their lives. So I was proud of my girl. I'm still proud of my girl. She's always going to be my girl. And yes, I'm sharing her. I'm sharing her with everybody else. But just want to let you all know that she is my girl. She's always going to be my girl. And so if I keep saying that she's my girl, it's because she was and is my girl.
And Mr. William, can you share with us what did Felicia share with you about her newfound family here in Pasadena?
She loved everybody here. She loved being involved in. She loved being involved in the community. She loved being involved with the people in the community. She loved how people were automatically starting to gravitate to her and towards her. And she was so happy when she had an idea. She was happy to see that there were people that were there to help her implement her ideas and her visions. And she would tell me about, Dad, I got this expression, I got this feeling, I gotta maybe write this script, or I gotta perform this direction, or I gotta do this comedy routine, and I'm developing it now. And just say, well, write it down. And she was always happy that whatever she was coming up with, she had people that were there to support her. And so I was appreciative of that she didn't have all these ideas, laying in the computer and in the cookie jar, but she was coming up with various different types of scenarios. I don't know them all, but I just heard about how black and brown become green. And so I really want to know, about what she was thinking when she was talking about that. So she was I bought her various programs, if computer programs that she could use if she wanted to write a script or she wanted to develop something. And I would tell her, make sure you keep a record of everything, every idea that you have, every idea that you are thinking of, and don't worry about someone taking your idea. You just keep being creative. You are the creator, and I believe you're connected to the source. You've had a great background, you've had a great education, so you just keep creating, and the people will start to flow into your lives as you have the right attitude. So make sure you have a good attitude. Everyone has a little piece. Everybody has a little instruction that they want to add to anything that you're doing, but you have to make sure you have the right attitude.
So can you share with us what was her most precious project that she shared with you that she found most fulfilling?
I think she was mostly fulfilled with anything that had to do with art. She was very fulfilled with, but I think she loved the Artist Eclectic Playground and everything that happened there about allowing artists to have a venue or have a place where they could come in and perform their comedy and perform their music or perform their sketches without having to deal with the cost. She always was interested in talent development and developing a young person's talent and giving them the opportunity to have their talent developed. But she's also had a soft heart for the homeless. She loved helping and assisting in the community as far as homeless, poor, downtrodden. She always had a soft spot for those, but hers was in taking a project and developing it from the scratch, from the beginning, and then seeing it blossom. But she was proud of the Artist Eclectic Playground and the opportunity that was given to her. And she wanted to work in the political arena, but I was a little skeptical about politics. I'm just honest with you. I was skeptical about her being involved in politics. I didn't mind her being involved in organizations and supporting candidates, but I was always conscious that she didn't overwork herself, work too hard, but I know her creative juices were flowing. But the Artist Eclectic Playground is the one that I think of the most with her. I know she has other projects that she was doing, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to come out here and spend time with her so she could take me to various places. But she didn't always take me to the places where she was doing projects. She always wanted to take me places where it would be me and her. So we go in places, Dad, I got to take you to this place. Dad, I got to take you to that place. Because she say, I'm sorry, Dad, the men don't always take me to these places, and I want to go. So, well, Dad, we got to go to this place. Dad, we got to go to that place. But she would take me to auditions if she had an audition. She would take me to a rehearsal if somebody invited her to perform something, and they were in rehearsal for a project, or she was involved in a group project, and so Dad just dropped me off here and just wait for me, and or she got an interview about something. She was involved in massage therapy. I don't know if that came out in the brochure, but she was a great masseuse. She went to school for massage therapy, and she was just great with using her hands to perform relaxation techniques on people. Uh, so I think my girl did not reach all of her potential because she had projects on the board that were just waiting to be developed. But what she was working on, what she was working with, she was happy that she had a team, especially the Compassionate Arts team, and especially Mr. Shay, and other people started coming into her life. I would have to say within the last 5 years, lots of different people started coming into her life that really were interested in seeing her drive, her determination, and her energy, that she was not just a talker, she was a doer. And so people started coming into her life, and but then she said, "Well, Dad, I want to get my master's degree. I want to go to school." And I said, "No, no, you can't do all. You can't be involved in all this stuff. You gotta have the balance. You gotta do one project and get it done, then go on to the next project."
So, what would you share with us, Mr. Williams? That was the highlight um, project or mission that you saw your daughter complete, and that will forever be something you're proud of.
Okay, the project that she completed. Uh, I think the project that she had with Compassionate Arts, where she drew or had someone draw the large poles with all the different, like someone put their hand and it would be a